Chapter 8. The Short Fast. A mini fast of say 20 minutes or so between meals is not fasting. Unibly, Collected Works 9/392. Through fasting, even short fasts, you will find that your health will be better, your willpower grows, and you will have a greater appreciation for good food. Setting up a program for the fast is the first step. If a person has never done much fasting, then the first fast should be a short one. A long fast could be disastrous. Start with fasting for 1 or 2 meals, or 1 or 2 days, and follow the rules and carefully note the results. These short fasts can be with or without water, with or without fruit juices, and even with or without some types of food. But good results should always follow. The importance of water. A short fast can be accomplished without water, depending on the purpose of the fast. But remember that while abstaining from food is usually good for the body, going without water is like driving a car without oil. The body, like the car, will burn out in a short time. There are more life-supporting elements in water than in some of the foods we eat. President Brigham Young mentioned this several times. It is difficult to find anything more healthy to drink than good cold water, such as flows down to us from springs and snows of our mountains. This is the beverage we should drink. It should be our drink at all times. JD 12:122. It is a strange thought, but could you weigh the particles of life that you constantly receive from the water you drink and from the air you breathe, you would learn that you receive a greater proportion of nourishment from those sources than from the food you consume. JD 492. You remember reading, in the last book of the New Testament, that in the beginning God cursed the earth, but did he curse all things pertaining to it? No, he did not curse the water, but he blessed it. Pure water is cleansing, it serves to purify, and you are aware that the ancient saints were very tenacious with regard to their purification by water. From the beginning the Lord instituted water for that purpose among others. I do not mean from the beginning of this earth alone, and although we have no immediate concern in inquiring into the organization of other earths that do not come within reach of our investigation, yet I will say that water has been the means of purification in every world that has been organized out of the immensity of matter. JD 7:162. Even the scientific researches on fasting are not conducted without some water. Gandhi, the master of fasting, never went on a fast without water. The body is surrounded with water before it is born, it is composed mostly of water, and it requires water to survive and function properly. Most of our society today cannot pass a grocery store without loading up on 6 packs of beer or soda pop. We have become addicted to advertising and paid dearly for these liquids that damage our system. We tend to neglect the free flow of water, which is one of the most precious gifts of nature. Dr. Nibley describes man's constant search for gold, but says that water is more precious. People have lived for centuries without gold, but none can live very many days without water. Water is a lubricating element, it is a carrier for oxygen and food, and it works as a thermostat element. Without water the system dries up, equivalent to decay and death. Without it, the system goes into chaos and fails to function properly. The limitations on work and activities are based more on the lack of water than the lack of food. Remember that a fast is supposed to be conducted for a good purpose, as an accomplishment rather than as a detriment to the body and spirit. At the end of the fast you should look back with pride and joy in how you accomplish your purpose. What good is a harsh starvation and deterioration of the body? Overnight fasts. We may be more acquainted with short fasts than we realize. Ending a short fast may be merely eating in the morning. There are words in our vocabulary that we use daily without thinking of their meaning. For instance, we mention breakfast nearly every day, but seldom realize that it is actually a breakfast, the breaking of an overnight fast. It was rather humorous to read how King Darius reacted when he was forced to throw the prophet Daniel into the lion's den. He decided to fast, and it reads, "Then the king went to his palace, and passed the night fasting. Neither were instruments of music brought before him. And his sleep went from him." Dan. 6:18. But even such short fasts may be difficult for some people, as Spencer W. Kimball remarked. On a full stomach it's easy to talk about fasting. The test comes, of course, when a grumbling stomach demands food. TCHGS. Of S. W. Kimball, page 145. One of the worst eating habits we suffer from is the big breakfast. We have all heard that breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and that's true, but generally we abuse it, and it has become the most injurious. A common breakfast consists of a large plate of eggs, ham or sausage, fried potatoes and coffee, but in that case, it is better not to eat at all. A much better breakfast would consist of mostly fruits and liquids with very little solid food until afternoon. Fruit juices, such as grapefruit, orange, or tomato, begin the cycle of digestive juices and alert the stomach that it must get active again, because overnight the stomach and digestive tracts retreat into a rest mode until they are activated by certain juices or food. Some juices may be too strong and should be diluted with water and even taken in small amounts every 2 hours during the day. Some solid food can act as a shock to the system and cause damage and possible pain and discomfort. Thorough chewing is essential when solid food is taken. Scientific fasting. Fasting is not a procedure that is conducive to guesswork and experimentation. Results of scientific monitoring and evaluating have afforded us some vital information. Scientists claim that the order in which the body diminishes during a fast is as follows. 1. The poisonous toxins which are blocking the proper functioning of the body and mind are eliminated. 2. The fats of the body are used up. This is accomplished by the shift in metabolism. 3. The muscle and other tissue of the body are consumed to supply energy. The heart loses weight like the body, but only about 85% as much. And 4. The central processes, the brain and nervous system, seem to remain intact to the end in most cases. Fasting, second step to eater. Life, Johnson, page 93. This information should be seriously considered in determining the degree and length of any fasts. Grape juice fasts. 2 books on fasting have greatly changed this author's outlook toward food and fasting. Both have been quoted in earlier chapters and have the same title. The Grape Cure, one by Johanna Brandt, the other by Basil Shackleton. Miss Brandt was born in 1876 in Africa, a land in which she says the people were heavy meat eaters and practically lived on game. I do not know whether this had anything to do with the fact that cancer is the greatest scourge of our country, but I think so. Page 11. Her mother and many relatives died of cancer. In 1921 she herself developed a growing mass near her stomach, and it grew until it reached toward the heart and attached itself to the left lung. She finally suffered excruciating pain and threw up blood. At this point Johanna decided to go on a series of fasts until she was extremely thin. One fast lasted 3 weeks with nothing but water. In her experimenting to find a cure, she finally found a food that would destroy the growth effectively, eliminate the poison, and build new tissue. Page 21. This food was the grape. She learned that an extremely long fast was not as valuable as a shorter fast containing proper nutrients that acted like a medicine, and yet was a food. She started a series of grape fasts and was ultimately cured. Because of her success, she began a series of lectures even challenging the medical profession, but she had no takers. One noted doctor came to her home, however, and encouraged her to continue this work. She wrote, "The many heartbreaking appeals for relief could not be ignored. As the laws of the land did not forbid me to tell the story of how I had cured myself, I simply related my experiences and described the procedure I had adopted. People treated by my methods recovered. Ibid. Page 27. Practice makes perfect. Everyone can learn to fast at least for a short time. It should be a principle taught to everyone, including children, as David O. McKay stated. Do not think that there is not a spiritual significance in the little principle of fasting. Do not think, parents, that you are favoring your child when, out of compassion, you say, 'Oh, give him his breakfast. Oh, let us have breakfast. Let us have dinner. I have a headache. The little boy is too young to go without his meal,' and so on. You do not know what you are doing by such teaching as that. I want to tell you that the children of our church can be so taught this principle of self-denial, that they will set worthy examples to their parents in the observance of it. Your deacons particularly, there is a magnificent opportunity for teaching them one way of honoring the priesthood. Gospel Ideals, McKay, page 213. Short fasts of from 1 to 3 days are refreshers for the body, giving them rest, and a chance to have a break from the constant burning of fuel. The body should physically rest from its work every 7 days, so, too, the stomach should have short breaks and rests from its constant work. Everyone should practice short fasts. Omitting 1 or 2 meals is very beneficial, and is a good preparation for longer fasts. Practice makes perfect.